2020, Marco Briones.
Let me hear you! Are we ready for Bernie Sanders? That's what I'm talking about. Look, folks, I don't need to tell you all, if you're here, you understand that this election is the most important election of our lifetime. Of our lifetime. San Ysidro, we are in San Ysidro. San Ysidro, let me hear you. This campaign has made it a point to come communities that are underserved and underrepresented. When I look around at all the beautiful faces in front of me, to the side of me, and behind me, and at the beautiful lights of Tijuana, folks, this is our home. This is a place that we know as home. This election, we have the momentum to win. We have the momentum to elect Bernie Sanders, our next president. But I will tell you this, we cannot do it without you. We need you to help. We need you to help, and right now there's multiple ways that you can do that. Back behind us over there next to the gym, we have the merchandise booth. 100% of those proceeds will go straight to the campaign. Get your shirt and show your pride when you're in the streets. We need you to text. How many of you have cell phones? I know you all have them in your pockets. We need you to text to give. If you give $27, that's what makes the difference. That's what lets us get out into the field and talk to the voters and talk to those people that need convincing, to let them know what a Bernie Sanders presidency will mean to us. We need you to text 67760. Again, that's 67760. And most importantly, if you got that cell phone out, get on the Burn app. We just released the Burn app 2.0. It will allow you to talk to your friends and neighbors. We can't do this without you. I want to try something. When I say not me, you say us. Can we do this alone? No, we can't do it. Not me. Not me. That's right. After this, the most important thing that you can do is get together with your friends, go on berniesanders.com/events, look up an event in your area, show up, make calls, walk a precinct, host your own event. We need you to make the difference. Money, all this doesn't make a difference. People make the difference. Not me. Not me. Beautiful. San Ysidro, as a proud son of San Ysidro, I can't tell you how excited I am to be in front of my friends and family. You all are my friends and family. Not me. Us. Bernie. 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 Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Please welcome now, Dulce Garcia.
I'm an immigration attorney, and I'm a DACA recipient. My name is Dulce Garcia, and I'm one of the estimated 11 million undocumented workers in the U.S. without a path to citizenship. My family and I came from Mexico in 1987. I was 4 years old. And when my high school counselor called me an illegal immigrant and said that I was not going to go to community college, I moved on to graduate from UC San Diego, then law school. And I opened my own law practice. I pay property taxes, I pay employer taxes, and I also pay employee taxes because I'm also an executive director for a nonprofit that serves our immigrant community. I am part of this community and I belong here. While I was in college, my brother was racially profiled at a stop and then turned over to ICE. I traveled across a Border Patrol checkpoint to see him at the detention center. And what I saw shook me and stays with me always. You see, my brother was wearing a jumpsuit. He had been stripped of his identity, no longer referred to by his name, and instead had been given an alien registration number. He had been given shoes without shoelaces so that he wouldn't commit suicide. I could tell that although he was trying to smile for me, he had been crying. He was scared, confused, and his spirit was broken, and so was mine. And that's when I decided I needed to learn immigration law. My brother's still here thanks to the brave, undocumented young folks that won DACA for us. And that's the reason why when Trump tried to take DACA away from us, I sued the president along with other brave DACA recipients. You see, we live in the times when we have to stand up for each other. We have to stand up for ourselves, and we have to stand up for the most vulnerable people in our community. You see, we treat our immigrant folks, especially immigrants of color, in a very cruel and inhumane manner. We tell 15,000 asylum seekers to wait their turn in Tijuana. That is considered the most dangerous city in the world. And that's not my opinion. They go by the murder rate. And there's no wonder that when they see the desert right next to them, they attempt to cross it with their children. And it's no wonder why we still receive reports of 7-year-olds dying in custody with Border Patrol custody after attempting to cross the desert. Last year, the Border Patrol reported 283 deaths in fiscal year 2018 of people attempting to cross the border. Those were people with hopes, with dreams, with names, with families. No one should be dying crossing our borders. We need a leader that from day one will end this humanitarian crisis. We need a leader that's going to move us in the direction of healing. Bernie Sanders is that compassionate leader who will do what is morally right. I cannot vote, but I can organize. And I can make sure that Bernie Sanders is our next president of the United States.
Please welcome now Irving Hernandez.
Buenas tardes, hermanos y hermanas de nuestra hermosa región fronteriza. I am Irving Hernandez Uriel de la Torre. I am undocumented and I am unafraid. Hermanos y hermanas, I'm here with a simple message. We must break through. We must break through every aspect of our current reality, but most importantly, our preconceived notion that militarized enforcement in our community is okay. That any type of abuse against any immigrant is justifiable, and that negotiating any part of our immigrant family is acceptable. The times are calling us, and we must answer with presente. I have personally broken through my own reality. When I began my activism in this fight, I solely wore the badge of DACA recipient. That limited the capacity of who I was fighting for. After going to Washington, D.C. several times, I understood what was at stake, of who we could possibly be selling out. My parents, our friends, our community. That was unacceptable. We must break through the notion that there are good and bad immigrants, that those with college degrees and small businesses are acceptable, while others undesirable. Mi gente, there are no prerequisites for equality. We are equal because we are human, period. El tiempo de actuar en contra de todas las injusticias hacia nuestra comunidad inmigrante es ahora. Mi gente, ya no cabemos en las sombras. We stand at a time where hatred and intolerance threaten the future of this nation. We must do a full 180 from where we are at. For real change, we need real leaders. And that leader, that champion, is our hermano, Bernie Sanders. And like a brother, he fights for us. He defends us. But most importantly, he empowers us. All of us. Hermanos y hermanas, el hermano Bernie es nuestro campeón del cambio. Juntos como pueblos podemos todo. So even before March 3rd, 2020, we need to act and break through everything stopping us. Porque el cambio real sí se puede. 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 And like my sister Dulce, I cannot vote, but I can help hermano Bernie get elected. Being here, we listen and we feel what true militarized enforcement is. That is also police brutality. That is also income inequality. That is also an unjust and unfair healthcare system. So all of us must pitch in and break through where we are at right now. We are all hermanos y hermanas. And so, it is cold. You know, we enjoyed some mariachi, some ballet folklorico. And after this, we'll get some good tacos. Maybe a bit of tequila to go lighten up the spirit. And so, you know, I came to the U.S. at the age of 6 from Acapulco, Guerrero. And why did I come? Because I was reunifying with my father, who on my 3rd birthday left me and my mother to come to the United States to find a job and help pay for my future education. And I cried for 3 years not being able to be with him. I did not know what crossing the border meant. I did not care what crossing the border meant. All I knew was I was going to be with that man that loved me from the moment I arrived on this earth. And it was not until coming into high school that I understood my identity as an immigrant. And it's funny because you're kind of shielded from what it means to be undocumented. I remember being there on my kitchen table with my best friend, and I just wanted to share what it meant to be undocumented. And so we played a couple of video games, and I was ready to tell the first human being that I was undocumented. And as soon as I said, "Hey, Avery, then tears started coming out of my eyes. And I felt such a shame to tell someone I was undocumented, not knowing what it truly meant. And I fought through those tough 10 minutes to say who I was to someone I knew that cared about me. From then on, I told myself I need to keep saying it. I need to keep saying I am undocumented. That way I can be unafraid. I've said it so many times to so many people locally and in DC that tears of sadness no longer fall down my cheeks, but tears of joy. And so, with who I am and who I've become, I have the humble honor to present our hermano, and the future president of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you. Son Ysidro, thank you so much. I'd like to begin by introducing to you the next First Lady of the United States, Jane Sack.
Hello, San Ysidro. It's so great to be here. I just want to take a moment to let you know, as a wife of 31 years, as a co-worker of 38 years, that this is a man that you can count on, that you can trust. He means what he says, and he says what he means. And I hope you'll choose him, just as I did. Choose him to be your next president.
Let me thank the Mariachi Band. Let me thank the great folk dancers who performed tonight. And let me thank all of the speakers for what they said. And I want to reflect before I begin, just tell you a little bit about myself. I am the son of an immigrant. And my father came from Poland at the age of 17, fleeing extreme poverty and anti-Semitism in his country. And he came to America without a nickel in his pocket, never made much money. Came to this country, couldn't speak a word of English. So I think I understand a little bit about the immigrant experience and understand that America, if America stands for anything, it stands for being a welcoming country, a country which welcomes and understands the enormous, enormous progress that immigrants have brought to our country. So I want to thank, and the contribution of immigrants in all walks of life is what makes this country literally unique around the world. We believe that diversity is a plus, is an asset, and we are proud of diversity. And my first promise to you is that we will end the demonization of the undocumented people in this country by the Trump administration. We will end Trump's willingness to try to divide us up
based on where we were born, based on the color of our skin, based on our religion, based on our sexual orientation. What our campaign is about and what our administration will be about is bringing people together, not dividing them up. And I want to talk about immigration, but I want to talk about more than immigration this evening. I want to talk about the need for us to have an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the wealthiest 1%. And we're going to fight to end the political corruption in this country. And we're going to stop billionaires from buying elections. We believe in one person, one vote, not big money, buying elections or people trying to suppress the vote. We believe in an economy that works for all of us, and that means not only jobs, but jobs that pay a living wage. And together, we are going to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. We are going to provide equal pay for equal work. Women should not make 70 or 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. And we are going to make it easier for workers to join unions. I believe, and you believe, in education. We are the wealthiest nation on earth. We should have the strongest public education system in the world. And that is why, among many other things, we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And that includes the undocumented. I have talked to too many young people who are undocumented, who wanted to go to college. They started filling out the forms. They stopped applying. I want this country to be the best educated country on earth, and higher education, whether college or trade schools, should be available to all, regardless of the income of their families. And we are also going to cancel all student debt in this country. It's not Bernie. It's all of us in this together. 11 years ago, Congress, against my vote, bailed out the crooks on Wall Street who nearly destroyed this economy. 2 years ago, Trump and his friends gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and large corporations. If we can bail out the crooks and give tax breaks to billionaires, we can cancel all student debt in this country. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to end the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right. Today in America, we are spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. We're spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child. And yet at the end of the day, we have 87 million people who are uninsured or underinsured. We have 30,000 people dying every year because they don't get to a doctor on time. We are paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We have 500,000 people in America every year who go bankrupt because of medically related debt. So what we are going to do is take on the greed of the insurance companies and the drug companies. We're going to take on Trump. We're going to take on the Republican Party. We are going to take on the Democratic establishment. And we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. And that means no more premiums, no more co-payments, no more deductibles, no more out-of-pocket expenses. You go to any doctor you want, you go to any hospital you want, you don't take out your wallet or your credit card. And we're going to pay for that through a progressive tax, which will save the average person in this country substantial amounts of money in what he or she is paying for health care. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We are going to do what President Trump does not do. We are going to recognize that climate change is not a hoax. And I don't have to tell anybody in California that climate change is real, that it is caused by human activity, and that it is already causing devastating problems that you are living with in California right now. As we speak, what the scientists are telling us is the climate change situation is worse than they had predicted. What we're seeing is warming of the earth. We're seeing the melting of the polar ice caps. We're seeing the warming of the ocean. We're going to see rising sea levels. We're going to see more drought. We're going to see more extreme weather disturbances. We're going to see decreased food production. We're going to see the acidification of the ocean and people losing the ability to fish and gain protein from the fish. We are going to see, if we do not do something about it, we're going to see the mass migration of tens and tens of millions of people around the world who will no longer be able to find clean drinking water or land to grow their crops. And that is why I have listened to the scientists. And we have introduced the most comprehensive climate change proposal ever introduced by a federal candidate. And that is based on the principles of the Green New Deal. And by the way, tomorrow in Los Angeles, I'll be with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is one of the authors of that legislation. And what Alexandria and I and you understand, that the fight we are waging against the fossil fuel industry right now is about whether or not we're going to have a planet that is healthy and habitable for our children and for future generations. So what the Green New Deal is about is telling the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of our planet. And what the Green New Deal is about is creating up to 20 million good-paying union jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. This is an issue that is not just an American issue, it's not just a Mexican issue. This is an issue that impacts every country on earth. And as president, I will do my best to lead the entire world and to say to the world that instead of spending almost $2 trillion a year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, that maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemy, which is climate change. And in this country, I am embarrassed that we have more people in jail than any other country on earth, including China. And that is why we are going to fundamentally reform a broken and racist criminal justice system. We have over 2 million people in jail today, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. So what we are going to do is invest in our young people in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. And when we talk about reforming a broken criminal justice system, what we are talking about is ending all private prisons and detention centers. Tonight in America, we have 400,000 people who are behind bars who have not been found guilty of committing a crime. They are behind bars because they cannot afford cash bail. We're going to eliminate cash bail. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to end the very destructive war on drugs. And that means legalizing marijuana in every state in this country. It means expunging the records of those who have been arrested. And I'll tell you what else it means, and this is not my idea. I learned it from friends in the African American and Latino communities. And what they said is, you know, Bernie, our people have been the people who have suffered the most from the war on drugs. Our people have been the people who ended up in jail. And what they said, and I agree with them, is that we don't want to simply legalize marijuana in every state in the country and then allow a handful of corporations to control the legal marijuana market. So what we are going to do is help our brothers and sisters in the African American and Latino and Native American communities to start the businesses that they need to make some money from the legalization of marijuana. And another issue out there that I know is of great concern to the people of California, but it is of concern all over the country, and that is we have a major, major housing crisis in this country. And that crisis is that tonight, as we stand here, over 500,000 Americans, including 30,000 veterans, are either sleeping out on the streets or are in homeless shelters. This is the richest country in the history of the world. We should not have 500,000 Americans who are homeless. And that is why, and it's not only homelessness, we have 18 million families in this country who are spending 50% of their incomes on housing. And that is crazy. If you're spending 50% of your income on housing, you don't have money for anything else. So what we are going to do is build up to 10 million units of low-income and affordable housing. Now people say, well, that's a great idea. How do you pay for it? I will tell you exactly how we pay for it. We have, right now, more income and wealth inequality in America than at any time since the 1920s. We have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society. 3 people. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 92%. While half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, 49%. 49% of all new income goes to the top 1%. Over the last 30 years, listen to this, over the last 30 years, top 1% have seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth. Bottom half of American society has seen a decline in their wealth. So tonight, we say to the large profitable corporations, tonight we say to the wealthiest people in this country, you will start paying your fair share of taxes. In America, our job and my job, if I'm elected president, thank you. I didn't want to be presumptuous. I appreciate that. Okay. With your help, we will make that if a yes, we will do it. I think job number 1 is to end the kind of hatred and divisiveness that is coming out of the White House right now. You know, the truth is that Trump is not smart enough to have invented the strategy that he is pursuing. This is what demagogues always do. You all know that. What demagogues do is they pick a group of people. Maybe it's African Americans, maybe it's gays, maybe it's Jews, maybe it's Latinos, maybe it's Muslims. You pick a group of people and you kind of foment hatred against that group. That's what goes on all over the world and has gone on, sadly, for centuries. Together, we are going to move this country in a very different direction. We are going to, and it's not easy stuff, but our job is to create a nation based on the principles of love and compassion, not hatred and divisiveness. We're not going to turn one group of people against another group of people. We're going to come together as Americans. And that concept has got to be expanded internationally, where we show the world that we believe in democracy and human rights, not dictatorships and authoritarianism. So number 1, our job together is to end the demonization of the undocumented in this country. We have some 11 million people, the overwhelming majority of whom are honest, hardworking people who are making a huge contribution to the American economy, and we are thankful for what they do. And we understand that the overwhelming majority of those people came to this country to escape poverty, to escape violence, and to search for a better life for themselves and for their children. This is not criminal activity. So what we will do on day 1, now there are some things, as you all know, that a president can do through an executive order. The more important things, more fundamental things have got to be done through legislation. But on day one, here is my promise to you. On day one, we will end all of the racist executive orders on immigration from the Trump administration. What he did through executive order, we will undo through executive order. And on day one, what that means is we will restore the legal status to the 1.8 million young people and their parents eligible for the DACA program. On day one, we will end a policy by which federal agents are able to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers or throw children into cages. That will end on our administration. On day one, we begin the process of ending all private prisons and detention centers in America. Our job is to do what the American people want. And the good news is the American people do not agree with Trump's demonization of the undocumented. What the American people want, what you want and what I want, is comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. And we can do that. I believe that there is the will in this country to do that. The other thing that we can and will do, and this is something a president alone can do, is I know and you know that the raids from ICE are terrorizing communities all over this country. Together, we will end those ICE raids. And when we talk about immigration reform, while we await a path toward citizenship, when I talk about Medicare for all, I want you to understand that includes all, that includes undocumented people as well. And when I talk about making public colleges and universities tuition free, that includes, as I said earlier, undocumented young people as well. So we have got a lot of work to do, and that also includes a moratorium on deportations. It also includes, I just had a very emotional meeting just a few minutes before I came here with veterans, people who have served in the United States military. They have served in the Navy, in the Marine Corps, in other branches of our military, and they have either been deported or are now in a deportation process. It is unbelievable that anyone thinks it is appropriate to deport men and women who put their lives on the line to defend this country. That is an ugly, unacceptable practice that we will end together. So brothers and sisters, we've got a lot of work in front of us. And the first task that we have is to defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. And with your help, that is what we will do. Now, what Trump hopes is that people will not come out and vote in large numbers. Right now, as some of you know, the Republican Party all across this country, in many, many states, is working hard to suppress the vote. You may have heard that just in the last week, in the states of Georgia and Wisconsin, they purged 500 voters from the voting rolls. They don't want people to vote. They hope to win elections with billionaires spending a lot of money and by keeping people from the voting rolls. Our job is to do just the opposite. We believe in democracy. We believe that we should make it easier for people to participate in the political process, not harder. So our job is to get our friends and our co-workers and our family members, get them registered to vote, get them involved in the political process. The 1% has enormous wealth and enormous power. But at the end of the day, the 99% has a lot more power than the 1%. But our job is not just to defeat Trump. Our job is to bring about fundamental change in American society. We are the richest country in the history of the world. Half of our people should not be living paycheck to paycheck. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Working families should be able to find quality, affordable child care for their kids. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Every man, woman, and child in America should be eligible for quality health care. We are the strongest nation on earth. We should lead the world in transforming our energy system, taking on the fossil fuel industry, and saving this planet from the ravages of climate change. In this country, we should do everything humanly possible to end the kinds of mass shootings that we have seen every week. And our gun policy must be dictated by the American people and not the NRA. And in America, and I speak to the men here, men must stand with the women in making sure that it is women who control their own bodies, not politicians. So brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. This is an unprecedented and dangerous moment in American history, and it is not just Donald Trump. It goes beyond Trump. It goes to the challenges we face with climate change and the understanding that if we do not act boldly, the planet we leave our children and our grandchildren will be increasingly unhealthy and uninhabitable. There will be more wildfires. There will be more drought. There will be more rising sea levels and cities going underwater. We got to work on that big time. We have to work on the issue of income and wealth inequality and make sure that every worker in this country enjoys a decent standard of living. We need to make sure that we have the best educational system in the world. We pay our teachers a living wage. And I hope many of the young people here will think about going into teaching. We need great teachers. And if we want you to go into teachers, we need to pay you a decent salary, at least $60,000 a year. And we need everybody working together to end the racism in the criminal justice system. We need great people in law enforcement. We need to make sure that our kids get the mentoring and the help they need in the schools. We need more doctors. We need more nurses. We need more psychologists, school counselors. We have an enormous amount of work to be done together. And if we roll up our sleeves and we are prepared to work hard, there are just enormous things that we can do in this country. So right now, what I beg of you and urge you, not for me, but for all of us, in this unprecedented moment in American and world history, if any of your friends think that politics is not relevant, tell them they are dead wrong. Don't listen to them complain about low wages. They can't afford housing. They're paying off their student debt. They're worried about racism. They're worried about immigration. They're worried about homophobia. If they're worried about those issues, you tell them to get registered to vote and to get involved in the political process. So I just want to thank all of you. It's a fantastic turnout. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. Let us go forward together. Let us defeat Trump. Let us transform this country. Thank you all very much.